Triple H, Chief Content Officer of WWE, and Stephanie McMahon, a former superstar, have been in a relationship for about 25 years. Steve Richards, who joined the Stanford-based corporation in mid-1999, recently discussed his connection with the billionaire princess and revealed why he avoided talking to her throughout the game. In a recent episode of the Stevie Richards Show, the former hardcore champion reflected on Stephanie McMahon's promotion to Director of Creative after almost 9 years of active competition. He admitted that she never gave him a promo, produced his bouts, or guided him in any way. Despite this, he said that Stephanie was always kind to him. He mentioned how she would welcome him and ask how he was doing. On the other hand, Richards normally avoided striking up little chats with Stephanie while Triple H was with her. He stated that he had never felt positive energy from the game. If she was with Hunter, I would say hello and get the hell out of there, because that guy never gave me a good vibe ever, he added. Pages 231 to 231 in an episode of his show, Stevie Richards reminisced about how the WWE locker room caught wind of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon's romance. Richards recounted how Stephanie's reaction to Triple H's injury during Royal Rumble 2000 made everyone in the locker room realize that the two were in a relationship. Richards also revealed that Stephanie was deeply concerned about the current Chief Content Officer of WWE. I remember when Hunter went through the pallet that had the nail in it at the Garden versus Mick Foley. Remember that match versus Cactus? I remember when he was on the stretcher afterwards, and they were looking at him, trying to determine if he needed stitches. That's when everybody was clued in, Richards recalled. In the world of professional wrestling, respect is key and relationships can make or break a career. One former WWE star had to walk on eggshells around Triple H and Stephanie McMahon because of the backstage dynamics. But Stephanie recently admitted on her new show Stephanie's Places that she is still deeply in love with her husband, even after 25 years of being together. In a recent interview for the Pro Wrestling After Dark podcast, Elijah Burke, who is better known to fans as the Pope D'Angelo Darrow after his time in WWE, broke his silence regarding his uncomfortable encounter with the power couple backstage. Burke did not hold back when he talked about the stress he felt working for WWE, especially in regard to the game itself. I don't usually talk about this, but it's been on my chest for years, Burke said, his voice reflecting a blend of contemplation and pent-up anger. Truthfully, Stephanie was always chill with me. She was kind and treated everyone with respect, regardless of their position on the roster. However, when it came to Hunter, it was a whole other ballgame. It was as if you could feel the air tighten around Triple H, according to Burke, and the atmosphere altered whenever he was in the neighborhood, particularly when Stephanie was present. In response to a question about why he felt uneasy, Burke said, "If it were just Stephanie and I were walking down the hall, I'd nod and say hello, no problem. However, if Hunter was within 10 feet, Burke said, forget it. I'd turn the other way and act like I'm heading somewhere else. I just didn't want the drama." Even though you don't know each other very well, Burke said that there are some people with whom you can shake hands, look them in the eyes, and feel mutual respect. However, with Hunter, it seemed like he was measuring you, judging you not as a person, but as someone who wasn't part of his inner circle. Although Triple H has received a lot of acclaim for his work in reviving NXT and fostering fresh talent, Burke's remarks have shed light on the internal politics that often dominate WWE life. According to Burke, there was a time when Hunter was still competing and building his reputation as a powerful figure behind the scenes. "I won't claim that he made special efforts to bury me," Burke said. "I don't mean to be bitter, but there was this vibe he exuded that made it seem like you were either right there with him, or you were just an afterthought. The truth is that I was never one of the selected few." Since Burke's ascent in the mid-2000s, rumors have persisted regarding political maneuvering and backstage cliques within WWE. However, few talents have been as forthright in expressing their personal discomfort with Triple H's presence as Burke was. The topic then shifted to Stephanie, and Burke made it clear that he had no ill will toward the former WWE Chief Brand Officer. "Steph, I have to give her a break. Give her credit," Burke remarked, his voice becoming more kind, "because she would do anything to make people feel seen. Accompanying me, there was an instant flurry of activity among wrestling fans and insiders in response to Burke's revelations because, no matter how brief the conversation, she always managed to make you feel like you mattered. However, when she was with Hunter, I felt like I didn't exist. It was as if I were a target simply for saying hello. As a result, I stopped saying anything at all. Many fans defended Triple H, citing his track record of guiding numerous talents to success in NXT, while others viewed Burke's remarks as an unusually candid look at the less glamorous side of sports entertainment. Online discourse was ablaze with theories and arguments regarding the inner workings of WWE's power couple. Backstage politics in WWE have always been complicated. Burke's experience isn't isolated, but it's important to recognize the environment has changed since then. Still fascinating insight, tweeted wrestling writer Dave Meltzer, adding to the conversation. At the conclusion of the episode, Burke discussed how his experiences WWE influenced his work after leaving the company, saying, "I learned a lot about reading people during my time there." He looked glad to finally tell his tale. The wrestler said, "When I left WWE, I carried those lessons with me. I decided that wherever I went next, I build genuine connections and not let anyone make me feel like I didn't belong. That's part of why I love what I do now. I'm in control of my environment." Burke, in his capacity as Chief Content Officer for WWE, joked before responding, "Look, no one ever says never in this business. Hunter's in a different role now, and people evolve. Let's just say if that call ever comes, I'd have a lot of questions before I say yes." Burke's story serves as a reminder that behind the scenes of WWE, there is often tension, unspoken glances, and invisible lines drawn between those who belong and those who are left looking on. Speaking his mind, Burke wasn't just trying to even the score. He was providing fans with an honest look at what it's like to work in a brutal industry. With fans picking apart his every word, his story adds another layer to the complicated legacy of one of the most powerful couples in wrestling. Former hardcore champion named Stevie Richards recently recalled the moment the locker room discovered that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were dating in late 1999. The two fell in love while working together in WWE. On a recent episode of the Stevie Richards Show, the former superstar recalled how the locker room noticed that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were romantically involved. He claimed that Stephanie's reaction to Triple H's injury in his match against Mick Jagger was the beginning of their nearly 3-year real-life romance, which culminated in their 2003 marriage.